Good morning, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you might be doing. We wish to welcome you to the Silverlight Show. The Silverlight shines to illuminate that which lies hidden in darkness. For those of you tuning in today, we welcome you in. We're seeing the narrative of our society kind of get split in a very interesting direction. On the one hand, we're supposed to be more inclusive and more accepting. On the other hand, we're supposed to recognize 10 million different divisions. If I sound like I'm confused, it's probably because I represent a vast majority of the population. There's supposed to be boys and girls. Okay, cool. But what makes a boy and what makes a girl? This. Star Wars lightsaber. Is that a boy's toy? Well, Star Wars is for boys. But it isn't. Star Wars has a lot of female characters. Female characters that use lightsabers. Female characters that use red lightsabers. So I ask you again, is it a boy toy or a girl toy? It's both. It's our psychology that labels it as one or the other. And I respect Silverlight will always be behind the LGBTQ2, etc. community because life is different for every single person on the world. But I ask you this in all seriousness. Why can't we be human? Yes, there are obvious differences between one person and another. There are obvious incidents where somebody is discriminated against for whatever, their skin color, their religion, etc. And it goes on through the entire world. There are places where Christianity is illegal. North Korea, for example, actively persecutes Christians. China commits genocide against Muslim people, and you don't hear them getting condemned. The same token, when Israel launches a counterstrike because they're getting rockets lobbed into their city, they get worldwide condemnation. There's no justice anymore in the world. Perhaps there never was. But we were moving towards it. When Martin Luther King Jr. said, "I had a dream," he didn't then spend the next 15 minutes breaking down the divisions of people that he had the dream for. We understood he was using his powers of oratory to bring people together. It's a shame there aren't more visionaries like him in the present day. We have activists for everybody, and we justifiably need activists. There is so much hidden prejudice out there. I was reading about this Muslim family who had come from Afghanistan and settled in a gated community, thought they had it all made, and it turned out the gated community was run by and exclusively for white supremacists, to the point where they even had Nazi tattoos on their bodies. And they put this family through hell. So here's a family that ran from the Middle East, came here, and was brutally treated. But at the same token, if a Jewish family had moved in there, they would have been treated the same. How do I know that? That's part of the story. There's a Jewish family that moved in before, and they were driven out by these same Nazi KKK sons of guns. Yeah, I want to say son of a bitch. And you know what? No one pays attention to my channel anyway, so I'm going to say sons of bitches. The same token, it's not unique to the United States. The Amish, the farmers and stuff, they buy up land. They're very clever. They wait for generations, buy out an entire area, and make sure it's just their people. So that way they don't have to deal with outsiders. Now, is that exclusionary? Absolutely. But because it's the Amish, people give them a pass. They're not allowing black people in. They're not allowing Muslim people in. But they're allowed to get away with it because they're the Amish. So we have this double standard even in so-called isolationist groups. We are victims of the greatest conspiracy ever. And I don't really want to call it conspiracy because Silverlight doesn't really believe in conspiracies. He, he does believe that people act in concert for their own good. But the same token, okay, the JFK assassination is real. It was something that happened in the immediate benefit to several people. 9/11 happened. It happened in the immediate sense to benefit a whole lot of people. But the Illuminati? No. People tend not to wait to take power. They take what power they can now and then add to it later. This Nazi community and the so-called Nazi communities in South America are taking whatever power they can now. If they had the chance to be the president tomorrow, they would take it. They're not going to wait 15, 16 generations to say, oh, my great, 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 grand, whatever is going to take over. They're going to grab it now. And it's this bitter hatred that bubbles to the top when you see the January 6th rally outside the White House. It's just hatred building up in the system over what we have been told. And it's absolutely wrong. We need to start learning to treat each other with kindness, whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're a boy, whether you're a girl. The labels are important. We need to be able to treat people equally. But the problem is, when I walk up to you, your friend, or whoever, I don't know what label to identify them as. And having this of he, her, z, and they, and whatever else it is, it doesn't help me in the moment of saying, hey, what's your pronoun? Maybe that's something we have to learn to move into, but at the moment, there's no real polite way to do that. And because of that, we're being made to feel like we're not being inclusive when we're dramatically more inclusive than places like Russia, where even speaking about homosexuality is out loud. We need to figure out how to come together as a species. Because human race, Homo sapiens sapiens, is one great big species. 7.5 billion of us. And every single person checks different bunches of those boxes, whether you're straight, gay, lesbian, bisexual, asexual, which is something I always find interesting, is left off of the LGBTQ community. I've known a few asexuals, and yeah, same plumbing, just the wiring isn't interested in using the plumbing. And people saying, oh, you just haven't met the right person yet. No, I have seen these people and nothing affects them. It's not a case of you haven't met the right person. That's the way their brain is wired. Now, people find that hard to accept. People find anything that is not their particular life pattern, is what I'm going to call it. Anything that's not in their life pattern, their life experience, is difficult for them to accept. This should never be an issue. The person is a human, and whatever they do in their bedroom, whatever they do in their spare time, as long as they're legally consenting adults and they're not putting anybody else in danger, quite frankly, I don't care. Leave the kids alone is my overriding rule. And other than that, we need to figure out new lines of communication because the current ones are breaking down. People are more likely to get into a fight over what they don't understand. And they'll hurl terms of abuse at each other. They'll start saying, you don't do this, you don't do blah, blah, blah. Everyone's very quick to point out what you don't do, but nobody points out what you should do. Where did we go wrong from the 1960s to 2022? And it's a serious consideration. Now, things were not perfect in the 60s, but at least the ideas were there. And now we're getting a more diverse representation on TV screens and movie theaters, but I still notice some peculiar tendencies. Now, I have no problem with having a main character of color or anything like that, but the same token, the way it's presented, like they love having a black male and a white female. And that's in television, that's on movies. They don't like having a white male with a black female, and I don't know why. It's just somehow forbidden in the land of Hollywood. You can have a strong female character with a husband of any race. It doesn't matter. But for some reason, that combination is forbidden. You can have a white person with a Chinese person and all those other combinations, but white with black, white male, black female is forbidden. Why? We're supposed to be inclusive, but that is the forbidden combination. Would honestly love to have Martin Luther King's opinion at the present now, because our dear doctor probably wouldn't even know where to begin. And it's scary because here we are living in that world where he tried to tell us, let's have our children come together and plan for the future. And we're doing the opposite. We're fracturing. We are becoming the most dysfunctional society possible. And it's because of the standards that are being pushed upon us. They don't care how we stay divided, just so long as we stay divided. There's going to be people out there that point to critical race theory that apparently don't understand how history works. And I respect that. But the same token, critical race theory, again, points to divisions in society and offers no critiques on ways to repair those divisions and to encourage community between them. I live in a mixed neighborhood. I wouldn't trade my neighbors for the world. They're diverse. They all have different strengths. I have a neighbor. We've lived together, what is it now, about 6 years? Never got a chance to speak to him. The other day I finally did. Indian gentleman. I came up, hey, first time I've had a chance to talk to you, but your motion detector is going off. He said, oh yeah, I purposely have it on a wide range because I come home late at night and I want the light come home. Okay, I understand now, but that's the way the communication should be. I wasn't like, I didn't have any information about this gentleman and his family, but just as a neighbor, I was going over and I was saying, hey, your motion detector, it doesn't bother me, but you must be going through a fortune in electricity. And he's like, yeah, but it makes me feel safe. Okay, no problem. If you want to pay the money to feel safe, I'm cool with that. I got a motion detector on my front patio too, and yeah. But that moment we came together. Such a simple communication allowed us to come together as a community. I've seen him once or twice since, and we wave and we're friendly neighbors. And I don't care that he's Indian. He's a nice fellow, and now that I understand the reasons for the motion detector, I don't worry about it. I was just worried he was getting his electrical bills and going, what's going on with this thing? Because, yeah, nothing's cheap for anybody. But see, that's how you can get involved and help your neighbors. Because whoever they are, nobody wants to get a shock electrical bill. So find out what unifies us. And we're all at the point where food is expensive, electricity is expensive, living is expensive. Whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're orange, yellow, brown, whatever you might be, whatever situation you're in, whether you're poor, you're middle class, we all need some way to come together and to recognize all of us have the same basic problems. Who wouldn't want a steak and lobster dinner? Or if you're vegetarian, then whatever the vegetarian equivalent happens to be. I'm very fond of stir-fried broccoli. I'm very fond of a lot of vegetarian things. I just can't think of any dish that would be the equivalent of steak and lobster on a vegetarian platform. But these are the things that we can come together on, and they're so simple. Look out for your neighbors. Maybe you have a nasty neighbor in the neighborhood, and that's going to happen. Odds are, I've lived with a nasty neighbor for a portion of my life, and that situation is behind me now. But right now, it worries me more that outside in the world, we can't be good neighbors. We can't be good humans, because humans are a social creature. We naturally band together. And it's something we're failing to do because we're being socially manipulated. And it's causing tensions. And you know what? The tensions aren't even at an individual level. But you get people rip-roaring and excited, and they're not going to pay attention to anything rational. They're just going to say, this is my life, my rights, my freedom. And you're free to think exactly how you want to think. But the same token, for goodness sake, remember around you that everybody is human. And on Facebook or Twitter, Reddit, whatever, yeah, okay, once in a while it's fun to get into an argument with somebody. But at the same token, remember, they're human. We're all human here. Try to be the compassion that this world needs so badly right now. And maybe if we just inherit that lesson from the 1960s, no hippie stuff, none of that, just simply, I have a dream, then maybe, just maybe, you can get over this boy girl toy crap, and you're offended because this doesn't belong to you and doesn't include you. Hey, you're welcome not to be included. I don't like most TV shows. Don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. Do I get pissed off because I'm at other people's houses, they have the TV show on? No. That's a minor example. There's so many others, and I don't need to list them because whoever's listening to this, I'm sure you can list a dozen without even trying. So let's try to remember we're all human. Most of the stuff we claim to get offended about, there's a limit to it. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Silverlight Show. If you did, please hit like, share, and subscribe. Buy the merchandise, which are the books listed in the description, and we hope you have a fantastic day.